Phillip. So in this video, we're going to talk about Ryan North and Erica Henderson's The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. This is one of my favorite comic book heroes. I've got my Squirrel Girl button, which... There you go, Squirrel Girl. I got my squirrel shirt ready to go. So, the reason I love Squirrel Girl, the reason I think she's the best superhero, and you can fight me in the comments if you want, but prepare to be wrong, is that Squirrel Girl is perfectly capable of beating up her opponents. And she does. But she is also funny. She's empathetic. She's concerned about others. And she brings these tools to the game as well. So, unlike... This is a broad brush stroke, and maybe not entirely fair. For the majority of superheroes, the problem of crime and the problem of supervillains is, how do I defeat them in battle? For Squirrel Girl, that's often not the issue. Often the issue is more, how do I avoid having to fight? What is it that motivates this person, and can they get that thing in a constructive or at least non-violent way? So this, I think, is really, really important. This is the hero that we need, not a hero who effectively glorifies violence as a problem-solving technique. So, Squirrel Girl starts out this series by going to college. She is going to study computer science because she wants to improve herself, and she doesn't... computers is not an area that she's already an expert in, unlike Squirrel Studies, which is what her sidekick Tippy Toes, or Tippy, recommends. So she chooses the codename Doreen Green in order to show that she is a regular person. She carries all of her boxes by herself, which does actually draw some attention, including from a guy named Thomas Perez Lopez, I think? I can't remember. We do get his full name later on in the thing. I don't know. I didn't fold down the page, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to immediately find it. But he's significant. Thomas is significant because later he becomes one of her superhero friends. He's the chipmunk hunk. Yeah, it is what it is. So he and Koi Boy are friends, roommates, I guess, and they end up sort of joining the Squirrel Girl entourage, more or less. So Doreen Green is not doing a fantastic job of blending in as a regular person, despite periodically telling people that she is a regular person, and not at all the same person as Squirrel Girl, even though it is worth noting... Stupid light. Alright, Squirrel Girl does not wear glasses. So, that is the face of Doreen Green. That is also the face of Squirrel Girl. There is not even a little, over-the-eyes deal, so you could plausibly pretend that you would not recognize them as the same person if you put two pictures of them next to each other. Anyway, so one of the things that I love about this comic is that it's just fun. There is violence, there are a series of villains, Kraven the Hunter being really the first one. And the reason I show you this is actually because I think this is one of the fun parts of it. Squirrel Girl carries around Deadpool's supervillain cards. So Deadpool's Guide to Supervillains, Kraven Hunter. So she consults these cards whenever she is She's confronted with a villain. So we get some information about him. Russian nobleman really into hunting big game, says he's the best hunter, and yeah, he's really good, actually. Hunts Spider-Man a lot, I guess. Died, but he's back now. NBD is that like an actual lion face his vest is made of? Do lions even work that way? So she uses this information, but ultimately she fights Kraven, but she doesn't defeat him with her fists. It's possible that she is able to, but ultimately that isn't the solution she settles on. What she settles on is she works out what it is he wants. He wants to be the best hunter in the world, and he's decided that Spider-Man is the ultimate game, and if he can capture Spider-Man, he will be the best hunter. But what Squirrel Girl suggests is maybe Spider-Man isn't the ultimate game. And what she points him to, using another one of the Deadpool cards, is the Gigantos, which is one of a set of massive underseas creatures who have never really been hunted because they live way, way, way under the ocean. No human being can get to them, but Kraven the Hunter cannot die, and so he could, go down, catch him a Gigantos or two. And he's like, okay, that makes perfect sense. I'm going to try hunting something other than Spider-Man. You have set me on the right path. Peace out. And this is the way that she tends to defeat enemies. Probably my favorite one is when we get Hippo the Hippo, who is a human-hippo hybrid. And he plans to rob banks. And what he explains So what he explains is that the reason that he is planning to rob banks is because there is no other feasible way for him to sustain himself. When he was a hippo in the zoo, his needs were met. Shelter, food, having water, etc., etc. He's like, imagine being a hippo chilling in a zoo and then without asking for it, some weirdo force evolves you into an adult quasi-human. Nobody feeds me for free anymore, yo. I eat 90 pounds of food every day. I got bills. Toy Boy says that doesn't give you the right to rob banks. And then Hippo says, oh sure, get a job, right? Because companies are dying to hire an adult half-hippo man with literally zero education. You know how much rent is in this city, especially for a place with high ceilings, wide hallways, and preferably a tub? Because I'll tell you one thing, I found out how much they cost, and guess what? Now I'm robbing banks. And then Squirrel Girl says, I mean, that's fair. Hippo says, what? And Chipmunk Hunk says, wait, what? Squirrel Girl says, it's fair. If I woke up in if I got woke up in a new body with a bunch of stupid adult responsibilities I never asked for, no friends, no support, I honestly can't say I wouldn't be trying something like what you're doing right now. So again, this is a hero who uses empathy to connect with villains. Often, villains not being these sort of pointlessly evil characters, but being characters who are in some way struggling to meet their needs. I mean, Hippo literally does not see a way of functioning within this society given what's been done to him. But what Squirrel Girl points out is that he could be a major asset to demolition crews because of his massive strength, his massive size, the toughness of his hide, etc., etc. He could be extremely valuable to these types of companies. And so she recommends that to him and basically puts him on a new path. And he says, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to try that. If it doesn't work out, I'll probably go back to robbing banks, but I'm going to give this a shot. And again, I think it's a beautiful way of dealing with crime, a beautiful way of dealing with people who might, in a different comic, just be treated as straightforward villains. I also love this edition. I don't know how much some of the stuff is in standalone comics, but this sort of omnibus volume 1 issue has some really good stuff. They do have letters. The first set actually is just written by North and Henderson because this was the call for them. But the other thing that they have that I think is really cool is these sort of social media bits where basically they have a Squirrel Girl Twitter with Hippie Toe, Tony Stark, Kraven the Hunter has one, Whiplash, who's another villain that she deals with, and actually basically just straight up defeats. Yeah, so these are fun little things that help develop the storyline outside of the main action of the comic itself. We get a similar thing in, I forget which one it is. I want to say it's the third or fourth volume, third or fourth issue. Fifth, yes. Where we have a bunch of hostages, including Squirrel Girl's college roommate, Nancy Whitehead, who are trapped in the Statue of Liberty during basically a robot dinosaur-based hostage situation. And Nancy says, yeah, Squirrel Girl will save us. And none of these other hostages know who Squirrel Girl is. But then they all start making up these stories based on other comic book heroes. So we get this one made up where Squirrel Girl is in the 50s hanging out with Captain America. And it's drawn more in the style of an old school 50s or 60s comic book rather than what much of the graphic novel is done in, which is this very I would say softer style almost. So we get those sort of neat throwback bits, and we get these different elements to it. And I think it makes it a really complex and interesting comic book that's very aware of itself as a comic in the tradition of comics.